The fireworks painted the darkness of space with colors that should not exist together. Captain Day One stood alone in the observation deck, his reflection ghostly in the reinforced glass. Behind him, the crew of the dreadnought celebrated. Their voices echoed through the corridors, drunk with relief and joy. The war was over. 17 years of hell had finally ended. Day One felt nothing. He pressed his palm against the cold glass and watched Earth spinning below. Somewhere down there, people danced in the streets. They cried and hugged strangers. They celebrated survival. But Day One had left Earth as a boy of 18, full of fire and purpose. Now he was 35 and the fire had burned out long ago. What remained was ash and emptiness. You should be celebrating with them, a voice said behind him. Day One did not turn. He recognized the voice of Commander He Jin, his superior officer and the closest thing he had to a friend. She walked up beside him, 2 glasses in her hands. She offered him one. To peace, she said, raising her glass. Day One took the glass but did not drink. What is peace? He asked quietly. I don't remember anymore. He-Jin lowered her glass, her smile fading. She looked at him with concern. You need time, Day One. Time to adjust. Time to heal. I've been a soldier longer than I was anything else, he said. Who am I without a war to fight? He-Jin had no answer for that. She squeezed his shoulder once and left him alone with his thoughts and untouched drink. 3 weeks passed. The military processed discharge papers for thousands of soldiers. Day One found himself on Orbital Station 7, waiting for transport back to Earth. He sat in his small temporary quarters, staring at the civilian clothes they had given him. They felt wrong, like wearing someone else's skin. His terminal beeped. Day One ignored it at first. Probably another message from military counselors asking if he needed help adjusting, but the beeping continued, insistent. He finally looked at the screen and froze. The message had bypassed all security protocols. No sender information, no origin point. Just coordinates to a star system he had never heard of, far beyond the mapped territories. And below the coordinates, a single sentence glowed on the screen. You survived because you were meant for something greater. Day One stared at the words. His training told him to report this immediately. It could be a trap. Enemy remnants trying to lure soldiers into danger. But the war was over. There were no enemies anymore. And something about those words resonated deep in his chest where the emptiness lived. He found himself in the station's commercial district, purchasing passage on a civilian cargo ship. The captain, a grizzled woman named Sun Hee, looked at his credentials and whistled. Military man, huh? And you want to go to the Outer Rim? Nothing out there but dust and dead worlds. That's where I need to go, Day One said, transferring payment. Sun Hee shrugged. Your credits, your funeral. We leave in 6 hours. Day One was packing his few belongings when He-Jin burst into his quarters. Her face was red with anger and worry. What are you doing? She demanded. I just got word you bought passage to uncharted space. I received coordinates, Day One said simply, continuing to pack. Coordinates? From who? Day One, that region is where the old star maps end. There are legends about that area, stories about the Draconid Empire, ancient beings that existed before humans even left Earth. Legends, Day One repeated. Not facts. Exactly. You're chasing ghost stories. He-Jin grabbed his arm, forcing him to look at her. Talk to me. What's really going on? Day One met her eyes. I survived 17 years of war, He-Jin. Battles where everyone else died. Suicide missions that somehow worked. Tell me that was just luck. It was skill. Training. You're one of the best soldiers I've ever seen. Or maybe I survived because I was meant for something else. He pulled his arm free gently. I have to know. Ye-Jin looked at him for a long moment. Then she sighed, defeated. If you're not back in 6 months, I'm coming after you. Understood? Daiwan almost smiled. Understood. The journey took 2 weeks. Sun Hee's cargo ship was old and slow but reliable. She left him alone, which he appreciated. He spent the time in the small passenger cabin, staring at the coordinates on his portable terminal. As they approached the edge of mapped space, his anticipation grew. We're here, Sun Hee's voice crackled over the intercom. Or at least we're at your coordinates. I don't see anything on sensors. You sure about this? Daewon came to the bridge. The view screen showed nothing but stars and darkness. No planets, no stations, nothing. He felt a spike of doubt. Had he been fooled after all? Then the stars moved, Sun Hee swore. What in the name of... Space itself seemed to fold like a curtain being pulled aside, And behind the curtain was a planet. It simply appeared, as if it had always been there and they just hadn't been able to see it. The planet glowed with soft light, its surface covered in crystalline structures that pulsed with colors Daewon had never seen before. "That's not possible," Sunhee whispered. "Planets don't just appear." "Take me closer," Daewon said. "Are you insane?" "I don't know what that thing is, but I'm not flying my ship into it." Daewon looked at her. "Then I'll take one of your scout pods." "You've done enough." "Thank you, Sunhee," she wanted to argue. He could see it in her face. But she also recognized the look in his eyes. The look of a man who had already made his choice. She helped him prep the scout pod, muttering about crazy military types the whole time. "Good luck," she said finally. "Whatever you find down there." The scout pod was small and cramped. Daewon piloted it toward the mysterious planet, his heart beating faster than it had during any combat mission. As he approached, the planet seemed to reach out to him. He felt a pull, gentle but irresistible, drawing him into orbit. Then they came. 4 shapes emerged from the planet's atmosphere. At first, Daewon thought they were ships. Massive vessels, each one larger than the dreadnought he had served on. But ships did not move like that, flowing through space like water, their surfaces rippling with impossible colors. They were alive. Dragons, the word came to him unbidden. But these were not the dragons from Earth's old stories. These were beings of pure energy and matter combined, their forms shifting between solid and ethereal. Their scales reflected light in ways that hurt to look at, colors that his eyes could not quite process. They circled his tiny pod, and Daewon felt very small. Then one of them spoke, not with sound but directly into his mind. The voice was ancient and warm, like distant thunder on a summer day. "Welcome, Daewon of Earth. We have been watching you." He tried to speak, but his voice would not work. Fear and wonder had paralyzed him. "Do not be afraid," the voice continued. "I am Yuna, eldest of 4 sisters. We watched your species fight for survival. We watched you refuse to surrender even when death seemed certain. This interested us, so we sent you an invitation." Another voice joined the first, younger but fierce. "I am Mirai. Your combat skills impressed me. You fight not with hate but with purpose." A third voice, gentle and soothing. "I am Nari. I sense the wounds you carry, both body and soul. We can help." And a fourth, bright with curiosity. "I am Sora. You have questions." "So many questions." "We have answers," Yuna's voice returned. "We offer you a choice, Daewon of Earth. Return to your ship and forget this encounter. Live a normal life. Or come with us to our world, learn what we have to teach, discover why you survived when so many others did not." The pod's controls moved on their own, turning toward the planet below. Through the viewport, Daewon saw something that made his breath catch. Cities on the surface, architecture that looked almost familiar, Korean designs mixed with alien technology, and people. Humans walking among dragonfolk in humanoid shapes. "Others came before you," Yuna said, reading his thoughts. "Humans lost in space, rescued and given sanctuary. They thrived here. They will help you understand." The pod began its descent. Daewon gripped the armrests, his mind racing. This should not be possible. Planets that appeared from nowhere. Dragons that spoke in his mind. Humans living in harmony with aliens. None of it made sense. But then again, his survival had never made sense either. The pod broke through the atmosphere, and Daewon saw the cities growing larger below. Gardens of crystal and light. Towers that seemed to grow organically from the ground. And in the central plaza of the largest city, 4 humanoid figures waiting for his arrival. The Dragon Sisters in forms that would not terrify him. As the pod touched down, Daewon realized he was not afraid anymore. For the first time in 17 years, he felt something other than emptiness. He felt anticipation. He felt hope. The pod door opened. Warm air rushed in, carrying scents of flowers and something else. Something that felt like home, though he had never been here before. Daewon stepped out onto alien soil and looked up at the 4 women waiting for him. They were beautiful and terrible, human and other, familiar and strange. Yuna stepped forward, her eyes glowing with golden light. "Welcome to Yongsong," she said aloud this time, her voice carrying the weight of ages. "The war ended for you, Daewon, but your true journey begins now." Behind her, the other 3 sisters smiled, and somewhere deep inside, in the place where emptiness had lived for so long, Daewon felt something stir. Purpose. Destiny. A reason to keep living. He bowed respectfully as his grandmother had taught him long ago. "I am ready," he said, and he meant it. Daewon woke to the sound of water falling. He opened his eyes and found himself floating in a chamber filled with glowing mist. The mist clung to his skin like warm silk, and he realized with a start that his body felt different. Lighter, stronger. The chronic pain in his left shoulder was gone. The radiation burns on his back had vanished. Even the shrapnel scars across his chest had disappeared. He tried to sit up and found the mist supported him, gently lowering him to a smooth floor. The chamber walls were transparent, showing a garden beyond filled with plants that glowed softly in shades of blue and purple. A figure approached, and Daewon recognized Nari, the third sister. In her humanoid form, she stood slightly shorter than him, with long black hair and scales that ran down her arms like intricate tattoos. "You have been healing for 3 days," Nari said, her voice carrying the same gentleness he had heard in his mind. "Your body carried 17 years of damage. We have repaired what war broke." Daewon looked down at his hands. The scars he had lived with for so long were gone. He should have felt grateful, but instead he felt strange. Those scars had been part of who he was. "How is this possible?" he asked. Nari smiled. "Yongsung exists partially outside your normal space and time. Here we can do things that seem impossible in your universe. Come. The others are waiting, and you must be hungry." She led him out of the healing chamber and into the garden. Daewon stopped in his tracks, overwhelmed by what he saw. The garden stretched for miles, filled with plants from worlds he had never imagined. Trees with crystal leaves sang in a breeze he could not feel. Flowers opened and closed like breathing lungs. And among the alien vegetation he saw familiar things too. Cherry blossom trees, bamboo groves, rice paddies terraced into hillsides. "This way," Nari said, gesturing down a path. They walked through the garden until they reached a large open plaza. Buildings surrounded the space, their architecture a strange mix of traditional Korean designs and alien curves. People moved between the buildings, and Daewon realized with shock that they were human. Most of them anyway. Some had slight differences. Scales on their necks, eyes that glowed faintly. But they were definitely human. A man approached them, middle-aged, with kind eyes and streaks of gray in his hair. He wore simple robes that reminded Daewon of historical dramas he had watched as a child. "Welcome to Yongsung," the man said, bowing. "I am Tae Yang, leader of the human settlement. We have been expecting you, Captain Daewon." "How do you know my name?" Daewon asked. Tae Yang smiled. "The Dragon Sisters told us about you. They have been watching you for a long time. Come, let me show you our home while you eat." They sat at a low table in a building overlooking the plaza. Nari excused herself, leaving Daewon with Tae Yang. Food appeared, brought by younger humans who looked at Daewon with curious eyes. The food was simple but delicious. Rice, grilled fish, vegetables, and sauce. It tasted like home. "How long have your people been here?" Daewon asked between bites. "Our ancestors arrived over 300 years ago," Tae Yang said. "They were colonists from Earth aboard a generation ship searching for a new world. Something went wrong with their navigation. They appeared in this region of space, their ship failing, their people dying. The Dragon Sisters found them and brought them here. Saved them. 300 years, Daewon repeated. "Then why doesn't Earth know about you?" "The sisters keep Yongsung hidden. They have their reasons." Tae Yang poured tea for both of them. "We are not the only ones they have saved. There are other sanctuary worlds hidden throughout the galaxy, each one sheltering a species that the sisters deemed worthy of protection." "Worthy?" Daewon frowned. "What makes a species worthy?" "That is a question for the sisters themselves." Tae Yang sipped his tea. "But I can tell you what they look for. Resilience. The ability to hope even in darkness. The refusal to surrender to despair. Your people showed these qualities during your war. That is why they invited you." Before Daewon could ask more questions, the air shimmered and Mirai appeared. Unlike Nari's gentle presence, Mirai radiated power. She was tall, nearly 6 feet, with muscles that showed through her fitted clothing. Her scales ran down her neck and arms, glowing faintly with orange light. Her eyes were molten gold. "You have rested long enough," Mirai said. "Now we train." Tae Yang smiled at Daewon's expression. "Good luck, Captain. Mirai is an excellent teacher, but she does not believe in gentle lessons." Mirai led Daewon to a training ground outside the settlement. The space was large and open, surrounded by tall crystalline structures that hummed with energy. She turned to face him, hands on her hips. "Show me what you can do," she said. Attack me with everything you have. Daewon hesitated. I don't want to hurt you. Mirai laughed, and the sound was like fire crackling. You cannot hurt me, little human. But I appreciate your concern. Now attack, Daewon moved. Years of military training guided his body. He feinted left, struck right, fast and precise. His fist should have connected with Mirai's ribs. Instead, she simply was not there. She had moved so fast that his eyes could not follow. Again, she said from behind him. He tried again, and again. Each time, Mirai avoided his attacks effortlessly. She was not even trying hard. After 10 minutes, Daewon stopped, breathing hard. You are strong for a human, Mirai said. Fast too. But you fight like a human. You use only your body. You do not understand that everything is connected. Connected? Daewon asked. Mirai gestured to the world around them. Everything in the universe is energy. Your body, the ground, the air, the stars above. All of it is energy in different forms. You humans only use a tiny fraction of what is available to you. I will teach you to use more. Over the following days, Mirai pushed Daewon harder than any military training ever had. She taught him to feel the energy around him, to move with it instead of against it. She showed him how to draw strength from the ground beneath his feet, how to read the flow of air to predict movement. You try too hard, she said, after he failed to block her strike for the 100th time. You use force when you should use flow. Watch. She moved, and Daewon saw something impossible. Mirai's body seemed to blur, moving in harmony with currents of energy he could barely perceive. She was not fighting against the world. She was dancing with it. Now you try, she said. Daewon tried to copy her movement. He failed miserably, ending up on his back in the dirt. But something had clicked in his mind. He understood what she was trying to teach him, even if his body could not do it yet. While Mirai trained his body, Sora trained his mind. The youngest sister appeared as a girl barely out of her teens, but her eyes held ancient wisdom. She took Daewon to a building that seemed larger inside than outside. 6 months passed on Yongsheng, though Daewon sometimes wondered if time moved the same way here as it did on Earth. Each day brought new challenges that pushed him beyond what he thought possible. His body grew stronger, faster, more resilient. His mind expanded to hold knowledge that would have taken lifetimes to learn normally. And slowly, carefully, he began to change. The changes were subtle at first. His eyes started to glow faintly in darkness. His reflexes became so fast that he could snatch flies from the air without thinking. His skin grew tougher, able to withstand temperatures that would blister normal flesh. But the changes went deeper than physical. He could feel the energy Mirai had taught him about, flowing through everything like invisible rivers. One morning, Yuna summoned him to the highest tower in the settlement. He climbed the spiral stairs and found her standing at the top, looking out over Yongxiang. In the distance, he could see the dragon sisters' true forms circling in the sky, massive and beautiful. It is time you learned the truth, Yuna said without turning. Sit with me, Daewon. This story is long and not entirely pleasant. They sat on the tower's edge, legs dangling over the drop. Yuna began to speak, her voice carrying the weight of memory. 2 million years ago, the Draconid Empire spanned 1,000 worlds. We were beings of energy and matter, living in harmony with the universe itself. We thought ourselves invincible. Then the Void Collective came. She paused, and Daewon saw pain in her ancient eyes. They appeared at our borders without warning, ships that unmade reality itself. We fought, and we were strong. But they were stronger. World after world fell. Our people were consumed, their individuality stripped away and absorbed into the collective's consciousness. We tried to negotiate, to understand what they wanted. They answered simply, unity. They believed that separation caused suffering, that only through complete unification could peace exist. What happened to your homeworld? Daewon asked quietly. It burned, Yuna said. We 4 sisters were off-world when it happened. We felt our entire species die in an instant. Billions of voices gone. We are all that remain of the Draconid. Daewon felt his chest tighten with shared grief. I'm sorry. Do not be sorry. Be ready. Yuna stood. After our homeworld fell, we made a choice. We would not let other species suffer the same fate. We began creating sanctuary worlds, hiding them in fold space where the void could not easily find them. We watched emerging civilizations, searching for those with the strength to resist the void's philosophy. Humanity is one such species. But you said the void engineered our war, Daewon said, standing beside her. Why would they do that? To test you, to see if you would break. The Solthari were influenced by void agents, pushed into conflict with Earth. It was meant to destroy you. Instead, you survived. You adapted. You refused to surrender even when extinction seemed certain. That marked you as dangerous in the void's eyes. Yuna turned to face him fully. They are coming, Daewon. Within 5 years, a void fleet will arrive at Earth, and your people are not ready. Before Daewon could respond, a sharp alarm cut through the air. He had never heard it before, but his instincts recognized danger. Yuna's expression changed, her humanoid form flickering. The settlement is under attack, she said. Come quickly. They descended the tower at impossible speed, Yuna moving so fast she seemed to teleport. Daewon followed, using the techniques Mirai had taught him, flowing with the energy rather than fighting it. They reached the plaza to find chaos. People were running, screaming. Buildings burned with strange black fire that consumed crystal and stone alike. And in the center of it all, Daewon saw humans that moved wrong. Their eyes glowed with sickly light. Their skin had taken on a metallic sheen. They attacked other settlers with mindless fury. Void corruption, Yuna said grimly. But how? Tai Yang appeared, bleeding from a cut on his forehead. The research facility. Some of our scientists were studying the void probe fragments from last month. They tried to integrate the technology. It changed them. Daewon remembered the probe, a void scout that had somehow breached Yongsheng's defenses. The Dragon Sisters had destroyed it, but not before it landed. He had thought nothing of it at the time. Mirai appeared in a blur of motion, her humanoid form armored in scales. The corrupted ones have sealed themselves in the research building. They are trying to open a gateway. To where? Daewon asked. To the Void Collective's network. If they succeed, they will broadcast our location across the galaxy. Every sanctuary world will be exposed. Nari materialized beside them, supporting an injured settler. I am taking the civilians to the healing chambers. Sora is already evacuating the archives. You must stop the corrupted ones before they complete the gateway. Yuna looked at Daewon. This is your first real test. Are you ready? Daewon drew the blade that Mirai had given him months ago. It was not metal, but condensed energy, formed from his own will. He had practiced with it every day. Now he would use it for real. I'm ready, he said. They moved toward the research building, a twisted structure now pulsing with wrong light. The door had been sealed from inside, but Mirai tore it open with her bare hands. Inside, the corrupted scientists worked frantically at consoles that had merged with organic matter. Leading them was a man Daewon recognized. Jamin, a brilliant researcher who had lost his family during the war with the Solthari. Stop this, Jamin, Daewon called out. That technology is poison. Jamin turned, and Daewon felt sick. The man's eyes were completely black, reflecting nothing. His skin had split in places, revealing circuitry beneath. When he spoke, his voice carried harmonics that hurt to hear. Poison? No, Captain. This is salvation. The void offers what the dragons never could. Freedom from pain, freedom from loss. Join us in unity, and you will never suffer again. That's not freedom, Daewon said. That's death of everything that makes us human. Humanity is flawed. Suffering is inevitable as long as we remain separate. The void understands this. Join us willingly or we will take you by force. The corrupted scientists attacked. They moved with inhuman speed and coordination, their bodies twisted into weapons. Daewon met them with everything Mirai had taught him. He flowed between their attacks, his blade singing through the air. Each strike found its target, but the corrupted ones did not fall easily. The void technology had made them resilient. Mirai fought beside him, her power restrained to avoid destroying the building and killing the corrupted ones permanently. They can still be saved, she shouted. The corruption has not fully taken root yet. But saving them would not be easy. Jaemin had activated the gateway device. Reality began to tear in the center of the room, a wound in space that showed something beyond. Daewon glimpsed vast networks of consciousness. Billions of minds merged into one terrible whole. The void. "Nari," Yuna called. "We need containment now." Nari appeared in the doorway, her face pale with effort. She raised her hands and light poured from her palms, forming a barrier around the gateway. But Daewon could see it was costing her. The void pushed back against her containment and she was weakening. Sora's voice echoed in Daewon's mind. "The gateway is quantum-linked to the corrupted one's neural patterns. You must sever the connection, but doing so might kill them." "There has to be another way," Daewon said, cutting down another attacker. "There is," Sora's voice replied. "But it requires someone to enter their minds and break the void's hold from within. It is incredibly dangerous." "Tell me how." Instructions flooded into Daewon's mind. He would need to make physical contact with one of the corrupted ones and use the fragment of Yuna's essence inside him to bridge their consciousness. Then he would fight the void on its own ground in the space between thoughts. He looked at Jaemin, still working at the console, his hands moving in mechanical precision. This man had been a good person once. Brilliant and kind, driven to bitterness by tragedy. The void had promised him peace and end to grief. It had lied. Daewon sheathed his blade and moved forward, dodging attacks. He reached Jaemin and placed both hands on the man's temples. The corrupted scientist's eyes widened. But before he could react, Daewon activated the technique Sora had shown him. The world dissolved. Daewon found himself in a space that should not exist. Around him stretched networks of light and shadow, thoughts given form. And everywhere he felt the void's presence. It was vast, cold, suffocating in its completeness. It saw him instantly. "You cannot stop unity," the void's voice said, coming from everywhere and nowhere. "All will join eventually. Resistance only prolongs suffering." "Suffering is part of life," Daewon said. He moved through the mental space, searching for Jaemin's true consciousness. "We grow through pain. We find strength in loss. You don't offer peace. You offer oblivion." He found Jaemin's mind trapped in layers of void programming. The man was screaming silently, aware of what he had become but unable to stop. Daewon began tearing away the corruption, using the dragon's energy inside him like a blade. The void fought back. It showed him visions of Earth burning, of humanity consumed, of everyone he cared about absorbed into unity. It promised that joining would spare them. It promised peace. "No," Daewon said, continuing to work. "You don't get to use fear against me. I've lived with fear for 17 years. It doesn't control me anymore." With a final push, he severed the connection between Jaemin's mind and the void network. The mental space shattered, and Daewon found himself back in the physical world. Jaemin collapsed in his arms, unconscious but breathing. Around them, the other corrupted scientists fell as well, the void's hold broken. Nari's containment field collapsed, but it had done its job. The gateway closed, reality sealing itself. Yuna moved to Daewon's side, her face showing rare concern. "That was incredibly reckless," she said. "But it worked," Daewon replied, lowering Jaemin gently to the ground. "Yes," Yuna agreed, "it did. You have learned well." In the aftermath, Nari worked to heal the corrupted scientists. The void technology had left scars on their minds and bodies that would take time to heal. Jaemin woke 3 days later, himself again but haunted by what he had experienced. "I felt it," he told Daewon quietly. "The void's consciousness. It was so vast, so empty, and it was so lonely that it could not bear the thought of anything existing separate from itself." "Can you fight it?" Daewon asked. "If the void comes again, will you be strong enough?" Jaemin met his eyes. "Yes, because I know now what it truly is. It doesn't offer peace. It offers the death of self. And that is more terrifying than any suffering." Yuna called a council after the incident. The 4 sisters gathered with Daewon, Taeyang, and the settlement's leaders. Maps of the galaxy floated in the air, showing the locations of suspected void activity. "The probe's signal reached the void before we destroyed it," Yuna said. "They know approximately where we are. It is only a matter of time before they find Yongsheng." "Then we evacuate," Taeyang said. "No," Daewon interrupted. Everyone looked at him. "We prepare. And I return to Earth." "You are not ready," Mirai said. "Maybe not," Daewon agreed. "But Earth has even less time than we do. If the void is moving against the sanctuary worlds, they are moving against Earth too. My people need warning. They need proof. And they need someone who has fought the void and won. The sisters looked at each other in silent communication. Finally, Yuna nodded. Very well. We will give you 3 more months of intensive training. Then you will return to Earth as our emissary. But understand, Day One, once you leave Yongsong, you may not be able to return. The void will be watching for any connection between Earth and us. I understand, Day One said. Those final 3 months were the hardest of his life. The sisters held nothing back, teaching him techniques that pushed his transformed body to its limits. Mirai taught him the final form, a technique that would temporarily make him more dragon than human, granting immense power at terrible cost. Nari wove healing technology into his cells, making him nearly immortal. Sora copied portions of the archives directly into his neural pathways, and Yuna gave him a scale from her true form, a token that would let him call upon her power once if he was desperate enough. On his last night on Yongxiong, Daewon stood in the garden where he had first walked months ago. He was not the same person anymore. He was stronger, faster, more knowledgeable. But more than that, he had found purpose again. Hope again. The 4 sisters joined him, their humanoid forms glowing softly in the moonlight. You carry our hopes with you, Yuna said, and the hopes of every species sheltering in sanctuary worlds. Do not let the void take your people. I won't, Daewon promised. As his ship launched the next morning, he looked back at Yongsheng one final time. The planet was already fading, slipping back into fold space. The Dragon Sisters circled above it in their true forms, singing a song of farewell that resonated through dimensions. Daewon set course for Earth, his heart heavy but determined. The war had ended, but the real battle was just beginning. The journey back to Earth felt longer than the journey away, though it took the same amount of time. Daewon spent the days in meditation, practicing the techniques the Dragon Sisters had taught him. He spent the nights reviewing the archives in his mind, studying everything Sora had given him about the Void Collective and how to fight them. But mostly he worried about how Earth would receive him. He was no longer fully human. His eyes glowed faintly in darkness. His skin had a subtle sheen to it, harder than normal flesh. When he moved at full speed, he blurred like Mirai had. How would he explain this to people who barely believed in aliens, let alone dragons? The first sign that something was wrong came when he reached the outer colonies. Communications were spotty, full of static and dead channels. Daewon tried to hail several stations and received no response. A cold feeling settled in his gut. Then he picked up a distress signal. It was old, at least 2 weeks, coming from a mining colony on the asteroid belt's edge. Daewon changed course and approached carefully, his ship's sensors scanning for danger. The colony was intact. Buildings undamaged. Life support running. But no life signs. No people at all. Daewon docked and entered the colony with his blade drawn, moving silently through empty corridors. He found the central habdome and stopped, his blood running cold. The colonists were gone, but they had left a message. Written in the center of the dome in what looked like dried blood were words in perfect English. They have been welcomed into unity. Will you join us? The void had already reached human space. Daewon fled the colony and pushed his ship to maximum speed, racing toward Earth. He had to warn them. Had to make them understand. He sent messages ahead, encrypted on military channels, but received no response. Either they thought he was crazy or something was jamming his signals. Earth appeared in his viewport 3 days later, blue and beautiful and terrifyingly vulnerable. He requested docking at Orbital Station 7, the same station where his journey had begun. This time, military ships surrounded him immediately. Unidentified vessel. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded, a voice commanded over the comm. This is Captain Daewon, military ID number 7382. I need to speak with General Heijin immediately. There was a long pause. Then Daewon. Is that really you? You've been gone for over a year. We thought you were dead. I'm very much alive. Please, I need to speak with Heijin. It's urgent. They escorted his ship to a secure dock and surrounded him with armed guards the moment he stepped out. Daewon did not resist. He kept his hands visible and moved slowly, not wanting to frighten anyone by moving at dragon speed. Heijin appeared an hour later. She had been promoted to general, her uniform decorated with medals Daewon did not recognize. When she saw him, her face went through several emotions at once: relief, anger, confusion. You look different, she said carefully. I am different, Daewon replied. and I have a lot to tell you. But first you need to tell me about the outer colonies. 7 of them have gone silent in the last month. Do you know why? Heijin's expression darkened. How do you know about that? That information is classified. Because I just came from one of them. The people are gone, taken. Taken by who? Daewon took a breath. An enemy called the Void Collective. They are coming for Earth, Heijin, and we are not ready. She stared at him for a long moment. Then she gestured to the guards. Leave us. Wait outside. Once they were alone, she stepped closer. You're serious? Completely. Then you better tell me everything. They talked for hours. Daewon explained Yongsong, the Dragon Sisters, the Sanctuary Worlds, the Void's history and philosophy. He showed her his abilities, moving faster than her eyes could follow, generating force fields from bioenergy. He shared portions of the archives, projecting holographic images of the Void's ships and tactics. Yijin listened to all of it, her face growing paler with each revelation. When he finished, she sat down heavily. This is insane, she said. Dragons. Hidden worlds. An ancient enemy that consumes civilizations. If anyone else told me this, I would have them committed to psychological evaluation. But, Daewon prompted, 7 colonies have gone silent. Our scientists detected strange quantum signatures on the galactic rim 3 months ago. And you just demonstrated abilities that should be impossible. She looked up at him. I believe you. The question is, will anyone else? The answer, it turned out, was complicated. Earth's Planetary Defense Council agreed to hear Daewon's testimony. He stood before the assembled leaders of humanity and told them everything. He demonstrated his abilities. He showed them evidence from the archives. He explained the Void's philosophy and tactics. Some believed him. Others called him a fraud. A few accused him of being an enemy agent, using stolen technology to manipulate Earth's government. The session devolved into shouting matches and accusations. Enough. Heijin's voice cut through the chaos. Whether you believe Captain Daewon or not, we cannot ignore the facts. 7 colonies are gone. Unusual activity is detected on our borders. Something is coming. We need to prepare. Prepare how? Demanded one of the council members. By trusting this man who claims to have met dragons? By accepting his word that an invisible enemy wants to consume our souls? No, said a new voice. A woman stepped forward from the observers section. She wore civilian clothes, but her bearing was military. By letting me verify his claims. Daewon recognized her from the dossier Sora had shown him. Namsuk, one of Earth's foremost xenotech specialists. She had been studying Solthari technology since the war ended. I can scan Captain Daewon, Namsuk continued. Analyze his biological modifications. Test his abilities under controlled conditions. If his story is true, the evidence will be in his body. The council agreed. For 3 days, Namsuk ran every test imaginable. She scanned Daewon's genetic code, mapped his neural pathways, analyzed the strange energy that flowed through his cells. What she found shocked her. His DNA has been rewritten, she told the council. Not damaged or mutated. Precisely edited with technology beyond anything we possess. His cells contain structures that should not be possible. Biological nanites that repair damage instantly. Neural pathways that process information 10 times faster than normal human brains. And energy signatures that match nothing in our database. She displayed holographic images of Daewon's modified cells. Whatever did this to him is far more advanced than Earth technology. And it was done carefully, precisely to enhance rather than harm. His story about the Dragon Sisters. I cannot prove it, but I can prove that someone or something did exactly what he claims they did. The council was forced to take him seriously after that. They formed a special task force codenamed Sanctuary to investigate the Void threat and establish contact with the Dragon Sisters. Heijin led the task force. Namsuk joined as chief scientific advisor, and Daewon became their primary link to knowledge beyond Earth. But not everyone was convinced. Factions within Earth's government and military saw Daewon as a threat rather than an asset. They wanted to study him, replicate his abilities, weaponize the dragon technology. Some even wanted to capture the Dragon Sisters themselves to force them to share their power. You need to be careful, Heijin warned him one night. There are people who see you as a resource to be exploited, not a person to be trusted. I know, Daewon said. But I didn't come here to hide. I came here to help, whatever it takes. The first Void contact came 2 weeks later. A fleet appeared at Earth's outer edge. arriving through quantum gates that tore open space itself. The ships were beautiful and terrible, elegant curves of dark metal that seemed to absorb light. They made no hostile moves, simply broadcast a message on all frequencies. Greetings, humanity. We are the Void Collective. We have come to offer you salvation from suffering. Join us in unity and know eternal peace. Resistance is unnecessary. We do not seek to harm you. We seek only to help you transcend the limitations of individual existence. The message repeated in every human language, and across Earth people began to listen. Some heard the promise of peace and were tempted. Others recognized the threat behind the beautiful words. Earth's military scrambled to respond. Ships launched to intercept the Void Fleet. Weapons that had ended the Solthari War powered up, ready to fire. But Day One knew it would not be enough. The Void's real weapons were not its ships. He was proven right when the song began. It started as a whisper in people's minds, a gentle voice promising rest, promising an end to loneliness, to fear, to pain. Across Earth, thousands of people heard the call and began walking toward the void gates that opened in major cities. They moved calmly, peacefully, their faces serene. It's quantum manipulation, Namsuk said frantically, studying the energy signatures. They're broadcasting directly into human neural pathways. It's not mind control exactly. They're amplifying negative emotions, making people want to escape into unity. How do we stop it? Hyjin demanded. I don't know. We've never seen technology like this. Day One stepped forward. I have, and I know someone who can help. He pulled out the scale Yuna had given him. It was small, no larger than his palm, but it pulsed with inner light. He had been told to use it only in the direst emergency. This qualified. What is that? Namsuk asked. A link to someone who has fought the void before, Day One said. He pressed the scale to his chest where Yuna's essence resided and felt it activate. The response was immediate. Space above Earth's atmosphere tore open, not with the sickly wrongness of the void gates, but with brilliant light. And through that light came the Dragon Sisters. Yuna appeared first, her true form massive enough to dwarf Earth's largest warships. Mirai followed, wreathed in fire. Nari came third, her presence soothing the panic spreading across Earth. And finally Sora, smaller than her sisters but radiating knowledge and ancient power. The Void Fleet's message changed instantly. Dragon protectors detected. This world is claimed. We will withdraw, but we will return. All will join unity eventually. The void ships retreated through their gates, which closed behind them. But Day One knew they would keep their promise. They would return. The Dragon Sisters descended toward Earth, their power unmistakable. The entire planet watched as these impossible beings of legend became reality, and in that moment, humanity was forced to accept that the universe was far larger and stranger than they had imagined. Yuna's voice echoed in Day One's mind and in the minds of Earth's leaders. We have come because you called, Day One, but we cannot stay long. The Void knows our location now. They will attack our sanctuary worlds in retaliation. What do we do? Day One asked, both mentally and aloud. We prepare together, Yuna replied. Earth joins the sanctuary network. We share our knowledge, our technology, our strength, and we ready ourselves for the war that is coming. Hyjin looked at Day One, at the Dragon Sisters, at the impossible situation Earth now faced. Then she straightened her shoulders and nodded. Tell them we accept, she said. Humanity is ready to join the fight. But even as hope bloomed, Day One felt unease. The Void had retreated too easily. They had tested Earth's defenses, measured humanity's response, and identified the Dragon Sisters' connection to this world. They had learned what they needed. The real battle was still coming, and it would be worse than anyone imagined. 3 months after the Dragon Sisters' arrival, Earth had transformed into a world preparing for war. In cities across the planet, humans worked alongside dragon-trained instructors, learning techniques that would have seemed like magic weeks before. New ships launched from orbital yards, their hulls incorporating bioenergetic technology shared by the sisters. And deep beneath Earth's surface, scientists like Namsuk worked to understand the Void's quantum manipulation and develop countermeasures. Day One stood in a training facility in Seoul, watching a group of volunteers attempt the basic energy flow exercises Mirai had taught him so long ago. Most struggled, their bodies still too rigid, too locked into purely physical thinking, but a few showed promise. Among them was Kai Taik, a veteran pilot who moved with natural grace. You're thinking too much, Day One said, walking between the students. Stop trying to force the energy. Let it flow through you. Kite closed his eyes and tried again. This time a faint glow appeared around his hands. Not much, but enough. The other students gasped. That's it, Daewon encouraged. You're beginning to understand. Heejin appeared in the doorway. Her face was grim. We need to talk now. They moved to a secure briefing room where Namsuk waited with holographic displays floating in the air. The images showed space beyond Earth's solar system, and what Daewon saw made his stomach drop. These appeared 6 hours ago, Namsuk said, highlighting massive structures at the edge of sensor range. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. Void gates all opening simultaneously. They're not trying to sneak in this time, Heejin said. This is an invasion fleet. Daewon studied the tactical display. The void was not targeting just Earth. Gates opened near every inhabited system in human space. They're hitting all our colonies at once. Spreading our forces thin. It gets worse, Namsuk continued. We're detecting the same quantum signatures near several of the Dragon Sisters' sanctuary worlds. They're attacking on multiple fronts. How long until they reach Earth? Daewon asked. At their current speed? 48 hours, 2 days. 2 days to prepare for an enemy that had destroyed civilizations far more advanced than humanity. Daewon felt the weight of every choice that had led to this moment. Where are the Dragon Sisters? He asked. Yuna and Sora returned to Yongsong to evacuate the settlement there. Heejin said. Mirai is defending a sanctuary world in the Andromeda sector. Only Nari remains here, helping our medical facilities prepare for casualties. Daewon pulled up Earth's defensive positions. Ships positioned around the planet, weapons platforms on the moon, ground installations at every major city. It looked impressive, but he knew it would not be enough. We need a different strategy, he said. The Void's strength is their ability to corrupt and convert. They turn our resources against us. We can't win by pure force, then what do you suggest? Hyejin asked. Daewon thought about his experience fighting corrupted humans on Yongsong. How he had entered Jaemin's mind and severed the Void's connection from within. What if the same principle could be applied on a larger scale? The Void ships are connected through quantum networks, he said, pulling up data from Sora's archives. One central nexus coordinates the entire fleet. If we could disrupt that nexus, break the connection, their coordination would collapse. Namsuk's eyes widened as she understood. You want to attack their command structure directly, but we don't know where the nexus is. I do, Daewon said. Sora showed me in the archives. The nexus manifests physically wherever the Void commits to a major assault. They need it close to coordinate their quantum manipulation. When the fleet arrives, the nexus will come with them. And you think we can destroy it? Heejin asked. I think I can, Daewon corrected, using the techniques the Dragon Sisters taught me. But I'll need to get inside. That's suicide, Heejin said flatly. Maybe, Daewon agreed, but it's also our best chance. The Void has never faced someone who can resist their consciousness manipulation while inside their systems. I can be the virus in their network, Hyejin wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. Instead, she nodded slowly. Then we build our strategy around getting you to that nexus. Everything else is distraction and support. Over the next 40 hours, Earth prepared for the largest battle in human history. Every ship was armed, every soldier briefed, every civilian evacuated to underground shelters. The Dragon Sisters' human students were positioned at key locations, ready to use their limited abilities to disrupt Void quantum manipulation. And Daewon underwent final preparations with Nari. The final form will transform you completely, Nari warned as she worked. Your body will become like Mirai's true form for a short time. Immensely powerful, but the strain will be enormous. You may not survive it. I understand, Daewon said. Nari's hands glowed as she wove final enhancements into his cells. Yuna wanted me to tell you something. She said you remind her of our people before they fell to the Void. Stubborn, hopeful, refusing to accept defeat. She is proud to call you friend. Daewon felt emotion tighten his throat. Tell her thank you. For everything. Tell her yourself, Nari said, stepping back. When this is over. The Void fleet arrived exactly on schedule. Reality tore open across Earth's solar system as hundreds of gates manifested. Ships poured through, elegant and deadly, their hulls absorbing light like black holes. And above Earth's moon, a structure began to form. The Nexus, a massive construct of dark matter and quantum machinery that pulsed with sickly light. All forces engage! Heejin's voice echoed across military channels. Earth's fleet launched forward, weapons firing. Missiles and energy beams struck Void ships, Some finding success, others absorbed harmlessly. The void ships returned fire with beams that unmade matter at the molecular level. Ships exploded. People died, and the battle had only just begun. On the ground, the quantum song started again, the void broadcasting directly into human minds, promising peace, offering unity. Across Earth, thousands felt the pull. But this time, the dragon-trained students were ready. They formed meditation circles in every major city, generating counter-frequencies that disrupted the void signal. It was not perfect, but it helped. Daiwan flew toward the Nexus in a small strike craft piloted by Kitek. Around them, other ships provided cover, drawing enemy fire. The Nexus loomed ahead, growing larger as they approached. It was beautiful in a terrible way, a structure that existed partly in normal space and partly in dimensions humanity had no names for. "I'm reading massive quantum distortions," Kitek said, his voice tight with stress. "It's trying to lock onto our neural patterns." "Don't listen to it," Daiwan said. "Focus on flying. Let me handle the rest." He closed his eyes and felt for Yuna's essence inside him, the fragment of dragon power she had given him so long ago. He also felt Mirai's final form technique waiting to be activated. Not yet. He would need that at the very end. Void ships closed in, attempting to intercept them. But Earth's forces fought brilliantly, sacrificing themselves to keep the path clear. Daiwan watched friends die protecting him and forced himself to remember why. This was bigger than one person, bigger than Earth. If the Void won here, they would consume every sanctuary world, every species the Dragon Sisters had protected. "We're through," Kitek shouted. Approaching the Nexus now. The structure filled their viewport. Up close, Daiwan could see it was not solid. Streams of data flowed through it, quantum information connecting thousands of Void ships to one central intelligence. And at its heart, he glimpsed something that made him pause. Consciousness. Not artificial intelligence, but actual minds, billions of them merged into one terrible whole. "This is as close as I can get," Kitek said. "The quantum distortions are too strong. The ship will tear apart if we go further." "Then this is where I get off," Daiwan said. He stood and moved to the airlock. Kitek stared at him. "You're going outside? In space, that's impossible." Daiwan smiled. "I'm not exactly human anymore, remember?" He activated Nari's modifications. His skin hardened. His cells began generating their own oxygen. His body temperature regulated itself. "If I don't make it back, tell Heejin she was right. Tell her this was crazy, but tell her it was also necessary. Come back alive and tell her yourself," Kitek said. The airlock opened. Daiwan jumped into the void of space and flew toward the Nexus using bioenergetic propulsion. Energy flowed around him in visible streams, currents he rode like Mirai had taught him. Void ships fired at him, but he was too small, too fast, moving with the chaos of battle. He reached the Nexus's outer layer and pressed his hands against its surface. It felt cold and wrong, matter that should not exist. He focused Yuna's essence and pushed, forcing himself through the barrier between dimensions. The physical world disappeared. Daiwan found himself in the Void's consciousness network. Around him stretched infinite space filled with data streams, each one representing a mind absorbed into the collective. Billions upon billions of consciousnesses, their individuality suppressed, their thoughts merged into one vast intelligence, and that intelligence saw him immediately. "You," the Void's voice said, coming from everywhere. The dragon touched human. "We remember you from Yongsong. You severed connections there. You will not succeed here." The consciousness network attacked. Data streams became weapons, trying to overwhelm Daiwan's mind, to pull him into unity. He felt the pull, seductive and terrible. Part of him wanted to surrender, to stop fighting, to find peace in dissolution. But he remembered Jaemin, remembered the man's screams as the Void consumed his identity. This was not peace. This was death of self. Daiwan fought back, using every technique the sisters had taught him. He moved through the network like Mirai moved through combat, flowing rather than forcing. He used Sora's knowledge to identify critical connection points. He used Nari's healing energy to sever corrupted pathways, and he used Yuna's essence to shield his mind from the Void's attempts to absorb him. "You cannot win," the Void insisted. "We are infinite. You are finite. Your resistance changes nothing." "You're wrong," Daiwan said, plunging deeper into the network. "Individuality is not weakness. It's strength. Every person is unique, irreplaceable. You don't create unity. You create emptiness. He reached the network's core and finally understood the void's true nature. It was not evil. It was broken. Eons ago, a species had tried to end war and suffering by merging all consciousness into one. But in doing so, they had created something that could never be satisfied, never be complete. The void consumed not from malice, but from desperate loneliness, trying to fill a void that could never be filled. I'm sorry for what you've become, Daewon said, but I can't let you do to others what was done to you. He activated Mirai's final form. His consciousness expanded, merged with dragon essence, became something between human and cosmic force. Power flooded through him, more than his mind was meant to contain. He felt himself beginning to dissolve, his identity struggling to remain coherent under the strain. But before he disappeared entirely, he struck. With all the power of the final form, with Yuna's essence burning like a star, Daewon attacked the Nexus's core. He did not try to destroy it, which would have killed billions of absorbed consciousnesses. Instead, he offered them what the void never had: a choice. Through the network, every consciousness trapped in unity felt his message. Remember who you were. Remember your name, your loves, your dreams. Remember that you are yourself. And choose. Stay in unity if you wish, or reclaim your individuality and be free. The network convulsed. For the first time in its existence, the Void Collective experienced internal conflict. Millions of consciousnesses, given a choice for the first time in eons, chose themselves over unity. They pulled away from the collective consciousness, their separation creating cascading failures throughout the network. The Nexus began to collapse. In physical space, the Void ships suddenly lost coordination. They fired wildly, collided with each other, their quantum gates destabilizing. Earth's forces pressed the advantage, destroying ships that no longer moved with unified purpose. Inside the network, Daewon felt himself fading. The final form was consuming him, burning through his identity. He tried to hold on, to remember his name, but it was slipping away. Then he felt warmth. Yuna's presence reaching through dimensions, anchoring him. Her voice echoed in his dissolving consciousness. Come back, Daewon. Your journey is not finished yet. Reality slammed back. He was floating in space, the Nexus crumbling around him. Kitaik's ship appeared, its airlock open. Hands pulled him inside, human hands and dragon-touched hands working together. I've got you, Kitaik said. Stay with us. Daewon tried to speak but could not. The final form had cost him everything. His body was failing, his consciousness fragmenting. He had succeeded, but he would not survive to see the victory. Then Nari was there, her hands glowing with healing light. No, she said firmly. You do not die today. I forbid it. Her power poured into him, rebuilding what the final form had destroyed. It should have been impossible. But Nari was one of the 4 survivors of an ancient species, and she had decided he would live. Consciousness returned slowly. When Daewon finally opened his eyes, he was in a medical facility on Earth. Hyojin sat beside his bed, tears streaming down her face. You idiot, she said, laughing and crying at once. You magnificent idiot. You did it. Through the room's window, Daewon saw Earth's sky. No void ships. No quantum gates. Just blue sky and clouds and sunlight. Is it over? He asked, his voice weak. The fleet retreated, Hyojin said. The void pulled back from all the sanctuary worlds, too. Namsuk thinks you fundamentally disrupted their network. They'll need decades, maybe centuries to recover. We have time now. Time to prepare, time to build real defenses. And the Dragon Sisters? Safe, all 4 of them survived. Yuna wants to speak with you when you're strong enough. Hyojin took his hand. You saved us. You saved everyone. Over the following weeks, Daewon recovered. His body bore permanent changes from the final form. His eyes now glowed constantly. Scales had emerged along his spine, and he could no longer fully pass as human. But he found he did not mind. He was himself, and that was enough. Earth officially joined the Sanctuary Network. Thousands of humans began training with dragon techniques. New ships incorporating bioenergetic technology launched from expanded orbital yards, and representatives from other sanctuary worlds arrived, forming the first true galactic alliance. On the day Earth's first Dragon Knight Academy opened, Daewon stood before a class of new students. Among them was Hyojin, who had volunteered to undergo the training herself. She was not young, but her determination was absolute. Beside Day-Wan stood the 4 dragon sisters in their humanoid forms, ready to teach a new generation. "You all know why you're here," Day-Wan began. "The Void Collective will return someday. When they do, we need to be ready. Not just with weapons, but with understanding, with unity that preserves individuality, rather than destroying it. You will learn to fight, yes, but more importantly, you will learn why we fight. To protect the right of every being to remain themselves." After the speech, Tai Yang approached him. The leader of Yongseong's settlement had come to Earth to help establish the academy. Behind him walked dozens of human-dragon hybrids ready to share their knowledge. "Yongseong is empty now," Tai Yang said quietly. "We evacuated everyone to Earth and other sanctuary worlds." The Dragon Sisters felt it was too exposed after the Void learned its location. But its spirit lives on here, in what we're building together. Day-Wan looked at the academy grounds where humans and dragon-touched trained side by side, where ancient knowledge met human innovation, where different species learned to work together not from fear, but from hope. "Your journey brought you far," Yuna said, appearing beside him. In the sunlight, her scales shimmered with colors that seemed to shift between gold and silver. "From a soldier with no purpose to a bridge between worlds. You have done well, Day-Wan of Earth." "I had good teachers," Day-Wan replied. Mireille joined them, grinning. He was stubborn, still is. But stubborn is good. Stubborn means you do not give up easily. "The Void will remember what happened here," Sora added, her young face serious. "They will study how you defeated them. They will adapt. When they return, they will be different. Then we will adapt too," Day-Wan said. He looked at his students, at the alliance forming between species, at Earth reaching out to join a larger community. "We're not the same people who fought the Solthari. We're not even the same people we were 3 months ago. We grow, we change. We survive," Nari smiled warmly. "That is why we chose your species. Humanity's greatest strength is not your technology or your aggression. It is your ability to transform, to become something new when circumstances demand it, while still remaining yourselves." Later that evening, Day-Wan stood alone on the Academy's highest balcony, watching the sun set over Seoul. The city sparkled with lights both human and dragon-made, a symbol of 2 species learning to coexist. In the distance, he could see the new orbital elevators under construction, humanity's reach extending beyond Earth. Ye-Jin joined him, moving more gracefully now after weeks of training. Already faint changes were visible in her. Her eyes had begun to glow slightly in dim light. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Answering that mysterious message? Going to Yongseong? You gave up being fully human." Day-Wan thought about the empty soldier he had been, about the 17 years spent fighting without understanding why he survived, about finding purpose among the Dragon Sisters and hope in protecting something greater than himself. "No," he said simply, "I regret nothing. That war ended and left me lost. But this journey gave me meaning. It gave all of us a future." "The students look up to you," Ye-Jin said. "They see you as a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who chose to keep moving forward, who refused to accept that emptiness was all that remained." He smiled. "Like you, like all of them. That's what makes humans special. We don't accept defeat. We find another way." Below them, Key-Tech led a group of student pilots through flight exercises, their ships incorporating dragon bioenergetic systems. Namsuk worked in laboratories, combining human science with dragon knowledge to create new technologies. And throughout the city, ordinary people went about their lives, aware now that the universe was vast and full of wonders and dangers both. "What happens now?" Ye-Jin asked. "We have time before the Void returns, but it's not infinite. What do we do with the years we've been given?" "We live," Day-Wan said. "We learn. We build connections with other sanctuary worlds. We train the next generation. We become stronger not just in power but in understanding. And when the Void comes again, we face them together, not just humans and dragons, but every species that values individuality and choice." He looked up at the stars, at the vast darkness hiding both wonders and threats. Somewhere out there the Void was recovering, adapting, preparing for their next assault. But somewhere out there were also allies, other species fighting the same fight, other sanctuary worlds building the same hope. "The war ended," Day-Wan said quietly. "But my journey? It's only beginning. And I won't walk it alone." The Dragon Sisters joined them on the balcony. their presence a reminder of the ancient alliance now renewed. Taeyang and other settlement leaders appeared as well, along with Namsuk, Kitak, and the Academy's first graduating class. They stood together watching the stars emerge as night fell. Human and dragon, old and young, warriors and scholars, all of them united by a simple truth that the void could never understand. Unity was not the death of individuality. Unity was individuals choosing to stand together while remaining themselves. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy. That was what would ultimately defeat the void. And standing among them, no longer fully human but not entirely dragon either, Daewon understood his true purpose at last. He was the bridge, the proof that different species could merge their strengths without losing their identities, the living symbol of what the future could be. The war had ended, but his journey had truly begun. And in the years to come, as Earth and the Sanctuary worlds built an alliance that would reshape the galaxy, Daewon would be there, teaching, leading, growing, always moving forward. Always refusing to accept defeat, always choosing hope over emptiness. Because that was what it meant to be human, and that was what it meant to be dragon-touched. That was what it meant to be himself.